Hello, everybody, and welcome to another thrilling episode of the tNb Gaming Podcast here on YouTube. Glad to have you with us wherever you are, wherever you may be, whatever you may be doing. It might be that you're doing the dishwasher, doing the ironing, washing the car, going to work, coming back from work, sat on the toilet. It's always a great pleasure for you to listen to us and for us to regale you with stories of our gaming week and a topic of discussion. As always, we have a few of the boys in tonight. Unfortunately, Nath, Eddie and Sean can't make it for this episode, but I'm very pleased to say that two of the guys are joining me round the table, and this is the Retro Bear speaking to you from the confines of the socially distanced gaming pantry. And let's bring in this week's two panel members. I'll bring him this one first because he's been on for quite a few weeks, and it's Pete Fighter 2. Hi, Pete.
Hello, Mr. Bear.
And how are you?
Oh, yeah, I'm well. I'm very tired, but I'm well.
Are you?
Yeah.
Any reason you're tired, or is it just...
Just end of the week, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, we record this at 3 o'clock in the morning, so I can understand why you're tired. That's getting you up all hours. Lovely to have you on, mate. Nice to see you back again. And also, it's a very big hello to Gernaldinho Plays, Rob. Hello,
Rob.
Rob.
Spare. How are you?
I'm all right, thank you. How are you?
I'm also tired. So we're all tired.
I must admit, it's been a strange old week, really. But
yes,
yeah.
Having returned to work for a good solid week after having 5 months off, you kind of feel it in a physical job.
Mm.
So yes, tired is definitely the word of the day, I think.
Muscles that you didn't know you had muscles of.
Muscles just woke up again.
Oh yes, it's been asleep for 5 months, and
they start shouting at me, "Go! What the hell are you doing?" We thought we gave this up 5 months ago.
I said the only muscles we've been using sort of basically your gaming, for gaming, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, my thumbs, basically.
Your thumbs, yeah. So you got giant thumbs, so you probably sort of hook, your thumbs inside those bags and sort of, move
Place
around
them
quite easily. Yeah.
We don't throw. Place gently.
Sorry, yeah, I just generalised. So I only hear these stories. You know what I mean? So if you're new to the podcast, first of all, where have you been? Because we've done 20 of these already. This is number 21. We talk about what we've been playing during the past week or so. In some cases, with the guys have been on for a couple of weeks, what they've been up to since we last spoke to them, and then we sort of try and finish with a bit of a general topic just to sort of close the programme out. I would do a quick announcement though, just to sort of let people know what's going on. We've decided between ourselves that rather than try and do one of these each week, because everybody being back at work and things sort of slowly returning to normal, plus what's the fact that we all have our own lives as well, rather than do a weekly podcast, we're now going to go from after this episode every fortnight. So the next one I think is probably going to be the first weekend in September. That's thinking with a calendar in front of me. But I'm guessing that's probably going to be the 6th of September will be our next episode, and then we'll be every 2 weeks after that. Hopefully it'll allow us to sort of try and rotate and get everybody a fair crack on, but also just to give it a bit more of a feeling to it, and there'll be other things going on in between that, but rather than each week, because it has been a bit of a difficult task the last month or so to get everybody to sort of free up some time in their schedules to do this. So from here on, every 2 weeks, but we are going to be carrying these on, and we're hopefully trying to do something a little bit special for when we get to episode 25. In the meantime, let's talk about what we've been playing since we've been last on. Pete, would you like to kick us off with what you've been doing?
Yeah, I've been playing quite a bit actually. I mentioned last time I was playing Ghost of Tsushima.
Yes.
I finished that, and I went a bit Gernaldinho crazy as well, and I got the Platinum Trophy, which I don't normally do. But I was just playing towards the end game, and a lot of trophies just kind of pinged up on the screen in like the last half an hour or so. So after I'd finished it, I just kind of like looked through them all.
Did they save them all to the end, or was it just a case that you just because it got?
It's just like a lot of it is like accumulated stuff, so I just kind of met the requirements towards the end of the game. And I had a look through the list afterwards, and I only had a few more to get, so I just sat and got them all.
It begins. Although it's trophies, so it's not technically Gernaldinho style, but we'll let you off.
But it is for a PlayStation boy like me. It is.
It's alternative universe Gernaldinho players.
Oh, I like
that.
If you've sort of gone back to 1985 and sort of gone in a parallel universe,
we could take on both together, Pete. You do the
We could.
PlayStation side of things, and I hit the Xbox.
I just don't.
We
I don't
conquer
have
them
time
together.
For that. Actually, though, I'm becoming an Xbox guy. I've bought Game Pass.
Yeah.
I've decided because I really love Fable, and they've announced a new Fable game for the Xbox Series X, so I'm gonna have to buy one now. So I've decided I'm going to go for the digital only model, and I've got Game Pass, and that's just going to be how I play Xbox games now. But yeah, looking through it, it's really good value. I kind of annoyed me a bit because I spent £17.99 on Demon's Tilt on the Switch.
Oh yeah,
and then I got Game Pass, and it's on there.
I played that through Game Pass. It's a phenomenal pinball game.
It is a really good pinball. I mean, I know Bear doesn't like Dragon's Fury. Is it on the Mega Drive?
I just don't like pinball games in general because it falls under the same aspect of. Sorry to go off on one already, but only 5 minutes in, already off on one. But the things that don't make any sense to me. I don't see why you would play a pinball game on a computer or a console when you can go and play a pinball on a pinball machine. I just don't see the point in it.
You can't have a pinball machine
games,
in your house.
Yeah, pinball machines cost £4,000.
Yes, but you haven't got to buy one. You can go and play on one somewhere else. I don't see the purpose of buying a game on it. It goes back to my hatred of the pinball fantasies and pinball dream game back on the Amiga. But
Pinball Dream was amazing on the Amiga.
It was the pinball game.
I like pinball games. And I love
pinball games, but you played on pinball tables. But anyway, sorry.
I love the Naxat pinball series, like the Devil's Crush and Alien Crush and stuff. And this is like a sort of spiritual sequel to that. It's also a game I've been playing this week as well, so it all ties in.
I was going to ask you about that. The first game you mentioned, because you were halfway through it last time, I think, and you were underwhelmed by it. Did your opinion change on it as you once you completed it, or?
No, my opinions still stand. But it's like I said, it's my favourite type of game, so I could get full enjoyment out of it. For people who are just passing like fans of the, I want to say like genre, but it's really just Assassin's Creed. If it could have just been called Assassin's Creed Japan, and it would have got just got a pass from that. But yeah, people who don't like those kind of games, I can't see why they would rate it any higher than like a 6. But for me, obviously, I got more out of it because it's what I like. But I can acknowledge that there were problems in it.
So your opinion didn't change at all. It's pretty much as it was before. Okay, that's fair enough.
I thoroughly enjoyed it, but there were a lot of faults. It's not like the magnum opus that people are saying it is. But I don't know. Opinions are like bumholes, aren't they?
Well, that's it. You have your opinion on it. Somebody else has their opinion on it, and I have no opinion on it. So I mean, it's one of those, isn't it? It's the joy. It's the joy of what makes everything so interesting. That some people like it, some people, sit in the middle. Some people don't. It's what makes it all unique.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I said last time. I said it in a different context, but art is subjective, and the same thing goes for video games. It's like, you can buy, say, I'll get nothing out of, say, Gran Turismo, which is like a solidly 9 out of 10 game. But then, you could play My Horse and Me and love it. It's all about opinion.
It's like I love Gears of War, but Eddie hates it, and there's its mention.
You got it in already, yeah. There we go.
And also Eddie's wrong.
And Eddie's wrong.
Eddie is very wrong.
I mean, I don't even like it that much, but I can still appreciate that it's a functionally good game.
But it's not just a functionally good game, it's epic. It's even made by them.
Made by Epic, yeah.
It's right there, Epic Games. Sorry.
So what else have we been playing? I was playing that pinball game and another pinball game. It's called Q Tenkai Fantastic Pinball on the Sega Saturn. And it's like it's like a similar sort of fantasy pinball game. It's all set between like an anime heaven and hell. I think it might be made by the same people who did Devil's Crush and stuff like that as well. But it's it's a lot of fun.
All right, yeah, I've not heard of that one.
No, it's Japanese only, and it's also very expensive to buy an actual copy. Obviously, Eddie's got one.
Oh,
I just modded my Sega Saturn and downloaded it, but. I modded my Sega Saturn. I only electrocuted myself once.
Yeah, I heard about that. Now, what exactly happened?
You need to. I didn't actually mod the Sega Saturn. I modded the Action Replay card, which allows me to play copied games, backups as we call them.
Backups, you get that right.
And to do it, you have to like swap discs a few times, and most of them like on the PlayStation, there's like the little button you can hold down which keeps the disc spinning, or you've got the tray open. Some models of Sega Saturn don't have that. There's like a mechanism in the lid itself, so I actually had to open up my Sega Saturn and have it powered on while the case was off. And I managed to touch something and make a connection, which I shouldn't have done, and electrocute myself. But I'm all right. It's all good.
Your hair will grow back, I take it.
I know it won't. That's Gene to thank for that. What else have I been playing? I've been playing loads. I've started on. Well, I say started on. I'm literally right at the end game now. Fable Anniversary on the 360, which I'm playing on Game Pass.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I've got the game on disc, and I pre-ordered it, and then looking through my achievements, it appears that I've never actually played it. So
that happens.
Yeah, but not usually for games that I pre-order. I can buy games for like £1 from CEX and never play them, but when I pre-order a game, I tend to finish it. But
I'm not sure I've ever played a Fable game.
I haven't. They just don't appeal to me. Just by looking at them, they don't appeal to me.
It's one of my favourite franchises in gaming.
It's one of those I feel like I should give a try to, because you need to give it a chance to be sure that it's not your kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I have got 2 and 3, and I have got Game Pass, so I've got no excuse not to try them.
Yeah, well, I think for me, because Anniversary is a remake of like the first one, and I played the first Fable must have been 7 or 8 times on the original Xbox. So I think when I got Anniversary, I was like, it's one of my favourite games. I want to get the remake, but then I never actually got around to playing it because, it had nothing new to offer me. But yeah, I'm playing through that. I'm right at the end of like the original Fable storyline, because it's got the Lost Chapters, which was essentially like an add-on pack for it, bundled on at the end as well, which adds like another few hours of questing. So,
did that ever get a full release? Is it like it's a question I've always wanted to ask, because I know there is that Lost Chapters disc for the Xbox. Did it ever get a proper green label release, or was it a classics release only?
I don't know actually.
Because I only ever seem to see either, I think it's called the Best of Classics release.
Yeah.
What game are we talking about?
Fable the Lost Chapters.
Oh, I don't know. I haven't got that one.
Yeah, so I've got Fable, and I've got Fable 2 for the 360. I remember seeing it years ago. I thought that looks really interesting, but then it's never been my sort of genre to play anyway.
Yeah,
and I've always been, I don't like picking up classics versions of games for my collection, because I'm a picky bugger at the best of times. But I never seem to see that release out and about, so I'm wondering whether it just came out as that.
it's entirely possible, because it's obviously an updated version.
There's a couple of games that are like that, so it is possible. There are a couple of games which have sort of got an Ultimate Edition, which also only came out on Classics label, of which I think a Fable game is one of them, but which one escapes me right now.
There we go. So well, in that case, I should have to pick it up then. I keep leaving it on the shelf, and I think I don't want to buy this Classics game, but if that's the only, sort of a release of it that came out.
I mean, if you see Terraria or Grand Theft Auto San Andreas on the 360 of the Classics label, buy it. It's the only way they exist. Those two I know for sure.
I saw one the other day which had like a weird banner across. Not the other day, it was a while back, but it had I can't remember what game it was, but the banner across the top had Xbox 360 and Xbox One on it. I thought that was odd.
In an Xbox One box, yeah?
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah. There's about 20 games or so. I can't remember the exact figure that I like that. I've got Sonic Generations, which is like that. I know Bully's like that. And as I say, there's a few that are like that, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a little subset to go for.
Yeah.
Hey, Eddie.
So Terraria was only a Classics release?
Yeah, you'll only get it with sort of what I call the grey block on the spine.
Keep leaving that on the shelf as well. I don't want the Classics version. I thought I've got it on the PlayStation 3. I thought I got it for the Xbox 360.
Wasn't that like an Xbox Live Arcade game at first, though?
It certainly is one as well.
Yeah,
I don't know if it was first or not. It probably was.
It probably had already achieved like the amount of sales that it needed to get before they made a physical copy of it.
So it just came out as a classic then.
But surely GTA San Andreas wouldn't have been released on the arcade first and then on disc?
Well, no, but it was released on everything.
So they just, it's a great game. It'll be a classic.
Yeah.
So it came out like that.
Also San Andreas as well.
Yeah. It's about £20 game as well to buy.
It's apparently not very good as well. The
it doesn't. Yeah, it's not a great conversion.
Yeah, it's based on the PC conversion, and it just doesn't work. No, it's not actually. It's based on the iPhone version, and yeah, that kind of writes itself.
Definitely missing that one as well. Have you been playing anything else, Pete?
There was something. What was it now? I don't know. We'll move on to Rob. I'll probably remember it.
If he comes back, I'll come back to you after.
Oh wait, no. I remember. It was Beetle Adventure Racing on the N64.
Oh, fantastic!
Fantastic game. Really is a lot of fun.
I had a brief play of that years and years ago, and I've always wanted to find a copy of it since, but I've not been able to find one in my usual sources. I bumped into a copy out in the wild. Is it as good as I remember it?
Yeah, it is a hell of a lot of fun. It's normally when you get like the car centric games, like the ones based on a single car, like Porsche Challenge and stuff like that. They always seem like, I don't know, just a little bit dull. But this is like, it's like arcadey and stupid, and there's like jumps and things to do in like a little Beetle car, and then there's like the tracks are really long as well and interesting, and there's a lot of shortcuts you can like find and stuff like that. It's just, I don't know, it surprised me how good it was for a weird license on the N64, to be honest.
A console that you don't like.
Well, yeah, it's not that I don't like it, I just think it's overrated. But yeah, I've not actually got a copy myself. It's just I've had my EverDrive sat around for years and never really done anything with it. So I went all piratey and downloaded a full library of N64 games. But the funny thing about that game as well, though, is if you get the Australian version, it's not Beatles. It's some other car that they only sell in Australia that's like iconic to Australians. And exactly the same game, but just with a different type of car in it.
I'm trying to think what an iconic Australian car would be, but apart from a Ute.
No, it's not a Ute.
It's not a Ute, no. How did I can't think of it.
I can find out by looking. No, I can't find out by looking.
But I know what you mean about those sort of games. Weird license, but they're sort of arcadey racing style, and I think
it was just dumb fun.
Yeah, that's the balance you need, and driving games are way too serious for I'm good about things. Big this and tune that up, and I can't be bothered with all that rubbish. Just give me something a bit fun and a bit mad and a bit bonkers. Let me put my foot down and let me enjoy it. That's what I want to do. Sort of games that driving games that I like.
The Australian version is HSV Adventure Racing. I don't know what HSV stands for, but apparently it's just some kind of iconic Australian car that you just can't get anywhere else.
Hatchback suburban vehicle?
Possibly.
Holden special vehicles?
Oh.
There's he, pretending you didn't Google
it. Google is your friend. We sit here Googling quite a lot, don't we? We've been doing it. I'm doing it already tonight. We're only 19 minutes in, and I've already started messing around looking these things up already.
I've Googled it myself, and it's quite a nice looking car, actually.
Is it? Yeah.
There you go, Rob. When you're looking for a new car, just have to move to Australia. It's quite nice.
Just like that.
Quite the adventure, and you'll be racing as well. So
yeah,
all three shoved into one.
Someone will probably nick it. Just leave it parked outside my house for 5 months. It will go.
Rob, what have you been playing since we last spoke to you?
Oh well, Christ, I've had a week off, so you know me. We'll condense it down a little bit, and we'll still take up an hour. But playing a few. Trying to look at the Xbox indie stuff first. I played Formula Retro Racing, which I believe I mentioned in the past, but didn't actually play. So I actually bought it for $9.99, which is quite steep for an indie game that I just want for GameScore. But no, I was interested by it, which is why I kind of paid a little bit more for it than I normally do, because it kind of looks like virtual racing, but a little bit more polished, but it's still going for that look, if you get what I mean. So it's not quite perfectly rounded cars, but they are Formula One cars. It got very samey very quickly and didn't have the sort of I don't know, the joy that virtual racing managed to bring, sort of thing, or the good feel about it. It seemed to be a dumbed down version of it too.
There seems to be I've seen a couple of games like that. That's certainly, there's another one I've still seen recently as well, trying to sort of capture that sort of early 90s 3D polygonal graphics type things, and the whole virtual racing vibe. And they look quite fun to play, but didn't sound overly keen on it.
If you can play the original virtual racing, I would suggest do it, because that still has the fun factor about it. Whereas with that one, after about half an hour or so, you'll be done. They did. What makes those old games fun is that they're not as polished almost sometimes, and they are more gameplay over appearance. So yeah, it was a little bit disappointing. But I played another indie game, which was Of Tanks and Demon 3. I didn't realise there was a 1 and 2, and I don't think there was. But the only way I can describe that is it's Bomberman in tanks as such.
I don't know. That sounds alright.
You're not up against other people though. It's a one-player game, and there's these little sort of monsters in the maps. But the maps have dead ends as well, and you have to get all these sort of I think they call them photons to complete the level, and some of them you have to park on and fill up to 100%. And yeah, that gets taxing and quite difficult after about, I don't know, was it 10, 12 levels sort of thing? And I think there's 25 in the game with boss levels as well. So yeah, I put a lot of time into that one, and then unfortunately, yeah, it does get a bit samey, so I got a bit bored of it. I mean, there are tanks, and then when you collect photons, and you can buy new tanks with upgrades, and you can sort of upgrade the shield, the firepower, and things like that. The nitro as well, because the more nitros you buy, the more you start with, as opposed to just one. And it did get a bit boring after a while, so I, for achievement purposes, enabled God mode and sped through it. That's all I'll say about that one. But that was a cheap one, so that wasn't too bad. Played a couple of Neo Geo games as well, thanks to the Xbox Live Store. A couple that I'm missing. I played Strikers 1945 Plus, which is a vertical shmup, or shoot them up as you call them.
Shoot them up, yes.
Shoot them up, yeah. Vertical scrolling shmup, which is I've lost hours to that. So much fun.
It is really
it is awesome.
Is it sort of World War II base? Is it like? Yeah, that's
yeah.
That I wonder about.
I mean, there's a selection of 7 different aircrafts, and I found the Spitfire the best one to use. But there's also a question mark, which is obviously randomizing the aircrafts that you can see, but there was also one extra one within that which you can sort of fingers crossed draw, called the Ascender, I think it was, which is I mean, they've all got their different sort of unique sort of ways of shooting, and their bomb is a little bit different as well. But I found the Spitfire's one to be more efficient, because it sends out other planes which do sort of a layer of bombs, and while they're coming out, they act as a shield for you. But then what the Spitfire's one does is they kind of flip round and then go back for a second wave, but just do it with a load of guns. So it's like you get shield, bomb, flip round, shield, wave of fire. And it was much more efficient than all of the other aircrafts I found. So I used that one over and over again in my little playthroughs and my achievement hunting for that game. But man, I can't get the 1,000 on that. The point margins on a couple of those are nearly are very high. Are flipping high, if you get my drift. So yeah, but yeah, great game. And the other one, which was the Neo Geo game, was Ninja Combat. Have either of you heard of that one? I hadn't, to be honest with you.
I haven't heard of that one.
No,
a side-scrolling beat 'em up. Side-scrolling beat 'em up, but
surprisingly enough,
very simple in appearance. The funny thing about it is you start off with one guy and do the first level. And then when you beat that first level, you can actually then change to a second guy. But the other thing I found about it, which it's the most pointless thing ever, was it's got your old cliche break oil drums within levels, like all fighting games have. It doesn't matter where you are in the world, there's an oil drum which you can break open and find something in.
There's a chicken inside.
Sometimes, yes, or another weapon. But anyway, your weapon when you start is like... take in shoot 'em ups when you get a power up, it can turn into a spread and then sort of 3 and then a 5. He starts off with like a 3-way spread shooting star that he throws, and then you can collect little P's, which are obviously power ups in drums, and it gets powerful and a bit more range on it, and that goes up to 3. But in all these drums that you break open, there are melee weapons in, and you can pick them up and use them. But there's no point in it because the weapon that you start with has a better range on it, and if you powered it up, it's more powerful than anything you pick up. So I found that I was trying to then avoid picking them up because the weapon would actually have me at a disadvantage, and then I'd pick it up and I'd be, sod it, I'll pick the weapon up now, and it would actually be at a disadvantage. So yeah, it's not the greatest game, but it was all right for a quick blast, and I'm still working on it. Achievement wise, I always feel the need to bring up achievements when I talk about games. Can't help it.
Well, that's what people know for, isn't it? That's what a lot of work on your channel is all about. That
side of my gaming that I do love. Yes. I did also play the Simpsons arcade game again. I'm always playing it. The latest episode of Fighting with 5 Lives.
Yep.
And any excuse to crack that game out. So yeah, did an episode on that. So I love that game. This is where I should really thank Retro Kit and Mark Blaster the Gamer for their responses. It's not been out long, so please feel free to have a go if you've got a version of the game. But yeah, the game never gets dull and boring. It's just one of those I can repeatedly go back to and just sit back and enjoy and don't need to think. And it's colourful, it's beautiful, it's fun every time.
I need to find a way. I know you can get the MAME stuff like that. I had it years and years ago and I got rid of it and I got it back. All the arcade games I used to play on that one. And
so I'm just fortunate that it was on the Xbox Live Arcade not for long, but because I knew it was being released the day it got released, I bought it. So it's on my Xbox 360 hard drive, and it will be for life as long as it lives.
I'm kind of good I missed that, but then in saying that, I've got the Pandora's box now, and that's got it on. So
yeah, I've got the Coin Ops Xbox, which Santa Sean gave me, and obviously that's going to be on there somewhere. But yeah, it's just nice to have that version on it as well, because obviously it'll be HD as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, it's just great. You can never get bored of that. Well, I can't anyway. And absolutely love it.
So the Konami scrolling fighters, I'm not that fond of, but it is a genre that I do love, and that game does hold a lot of memories for me because I used to go with my friends to like the local leisure centre, and they'd all go swimming, and I'd just kind of sit and play Simpsons arcade game in the foyer.
You got a workout of different sorts. Yeah.
4-player cabinet, so there's more than just you and one friend. Like you had a third person or even a fourth. Then there's a game you could all go along and play at the same time, which rather than just two of you play and watch.
Yeah, my friends were all swimming and having a great time, but I was just playing Simpsons.
Yeah, sod that swimming. That sounds like too much hard work.
Oh, just
you can die doing that. I'm playing Simpsons.
I mean, I could go on all night about the stuff that I've been playing on the Coin Ops Xbox, but I will finish what I've played on one I've been playing on a 360 and just started and loving already, and I've only been playing it for a couple of hours. Hopefully we'll have it finished by the next time I talk to you on here, and that's Bulletstorm.
Oh, it's such a good game.
It is. It's awesome. I'm loving it.
It's got the most creative use of bad language I've ever heard.
Oh, now there we go.
As well. You say creative use, but sometimes it's quite odd, and it's good and it's funny because it is so odd. It's just like there was no need to swear or say that then.
No, it's just awesome. Did you get the Duke Nukem DLC for it?
I have got the Epic Edition, so I would imagine it's on there. But
I'm not sure if it was on the Epic Edition. I think it was. Because you're playing on the 360, aren't you? Because it was for when they released the remaster. I think they did the Duke Nukem DLC for it.
Oh, right. Then probably
I really
not.
want to play that. It's like you play through the whole game as Duke Nukem instead of the normal character.
Oh, right.
And it's like it's got voices from, I think, is it John St. John, the guy who did the voice for Duke Nukem 3D? It's got like a load of dialogue, like new dialogue recorded by him.
Oh, it's definitely not on there, mate.
No.
That you're right. That does sound epic.
Yeah.
So it should be on the Epic Edition. But no, that does sound
it's
awesome.
Made by Epic.
But yes, it's meant to be. But it's just there's so much imaginative things in it as well. Like you start off the game and then eventually you find the leash, which obviously You know what I'm talking about, Pete.
Yeah,
It's basically this sort of blue. Well, it's a leash that comes out of your wrist. It's a weapon you win that, or you find straight away, and it's like an attachment to your arm, and then you throw it out, and it's like a blue sparky leash as such, but it grabs the enemies and pulls them towards you, and then obviously you could pull them into things like into fences, and it calls them something imaginative when they hit the fence. I can't remember what though. And then there's also the fact that if they don't hit anything on the way, they sort of flying through the air in slow-mo, and you can have fun aiming for parts of them. It is, it is brilliant, and it's only £1 to buy in CX. So people, seriously, buy it.
It's
brilliant.
A criminally underrated game.
It £1 on the 360.
Yep.
Yeah, I haven't got it.
What?
Yeah, exactly. I can't understand it either. How have I not got that? I've got it on the PlayStation 3. But oh no, hang on a second. I have got it.
Oh, phew! The world is right again.
Yeah, that's right.
In a bucket somewhere.
Yeah, it probably was at some point. You know, along with Bulletstorm Epic Edition. That's the one.
Yeah, you need to. Yeah, people need to get it if they haven't played it.
Need to play that one. Yeah. All right, so quite a few then there. Right, well, I've been quite busy again this week. I mean, it's all slightly interest-roll because I've had the 360 out again. Or that's something worth putting. I can't be asked to put it away, so it's just still plugged into everything else. So this week I've been playing once again Sega Rally. I think I'm slightly addicted to that game because I seem to get better as I go along. And the good news is I managed to record some footage now of me playing Sega Rally in high definition. So there is an upcoming video for that very, very soon. And yeah, I just love it. I don't know. I wasn't very overly keen on it when I first started playing it, but I think I've grown to appreciate it more. And it's a good old fashioned, arcadey racer. And I've noticed my gamer score has gone up as well. So I must be doing something on it. I've moved up from the mid 250s to about 330 something now.
Wow.
I was going to say, if you're getting game score out of Sega Rally, you're doing well. It's a tough one to get anything out of.
I must be doing all right then. And the other game I put on very, very quickly, which I hadn't played for ages, which is Virtua Tennis 2009. I haven't played a Virtua Tennis game since Virtua Tennis 3 on the PlayStation 3, but I thought I'll give this one a go, and I've just been playing the stupid mini games. They're so much fun.
Stupid. They're great.
They are. They're brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I just, what a fantastic idea. What a fantastic concept that was to take something as mundanely boring as tennis and sort of create these wonderfully challenging mini games in between, which are just completely ridiculous.
I know me and you are in the same boat when it comes to tennis game. Only virtual tennis games exist. The rest of crap.
Yeah, exactly.
But
I mean,
Mario Tennis was alright on the N64.
But it's not a tennis game. I don't know.
I think we're talking more simulation tennis games.
Yeah, I mean, virtual tennis is fun because it's a bit more forgiving than some tennis games. You play something like Super Tennis on the Super Nintendo, and that will completely kick your ass on the easiest level. Whereas with virtual tennis games, there's a bit more leeway. So sometimes you think you're not going to make a shot, but you do.
I don't know. Did you? You obviously you weren't there, but when we were at Arcade Club, me and Sean played virtual tennis. We played like a doubles match.
Yeah.
And I don't think we hit the ball once.
You're obviously playing it wrong then, because even I can do all right in virtual tennis, so there's something wrong there. But
I chose like Rafa Nadal because I recognise the name as a good tennis person.
But the interesting about this game being 2009 is that half the people on there I've never even heard of.
I'm the other way around. I play a modern tennis game, and I've never heard of them now.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I picked Nadal because it was a name I'd heard of, so I assumed he must be good.
Yeah, he's all right.
Yeah, but he wasn't in that game.
So I'm playing those two, and then I'm just going to try and work my way through some of the 360 games as I go along. Now I've worked out how I can record stuff now on the computer, which is great. I managed to get around that, and really pleased. So hopefully there'll be some more higher quality videos coming up. But the other thing I've been plugged into this week, which is why there was a video on my channel about it, which is the Mega Drive Mini. And I've been working my way through some games on that, and oh my goodness me, what a mixed bag of results that turned out to be. For those who have seen the video, you'll understand what I'm getting at, but I'll just run through some of the games that I played and just sort of give you a brief overview of how I got on. First of all, Castlevania: The New Generation. I didn't get on too badly with that. I've never really played a Castlevania game properly. Just sort of briefly played the first one off emulation, so I did enjoy that. I do like the idea of Castlevania games anyway. So I'm going to hopefully sort of sit down and play a bit more of that going forward. Then I played World of Illusion, which is the Mickey Mouse Donald Duck game. Absolutely brilliant. Really enjoyed that. Just the whole look to it, just even now, I think it looks very impressive game for what it was. The quality of the graphics and the music is there. I mean, it's not the most difficult game in the world, but it just shows just what could be done with that machine at the time. And Castle of Illusion came first, and World of Illusion was a sort of a substantial improvement. And the parallax as well. The parallax scroll in the background just stuff you don't see nowadays.
The Disney games from the Mega Drive have really held up.
Oh, they have.
So I was when I got my Mega CD the other week, I put Mickey Mania on just because that was the game that came with it, and it looks so good still.
Yeah, I was playing that a couple of months back on the Super Nintendo, and I had that on the Mega Drive back in the day. I think it was.
Yeah.
No, sorry, tell a lie. No, it was Mega Drive. Yes, it was, and I've got this, Mickey's Wild Adventure, which is PlayStation 1 as well.
Yeah, it's a port or something, wasn't it? But
yeah, but you're right. You know, the quality of the Disney-esque graphics on it are absolutely spot on. It really is a great game to look at. Then I played Thunder Force 3, and that reduced me to a quivering wreck. Because I don't know. I was doing all right on the shooters on the PC Engine Mini. I didn't think I was doing too bad on those. Oh my god! And Thunder Force 3, I thought, yeah, that's just not going to happen. So, quickly moved on to Shinobi 3, which again I quite enjoyed that. So I played quite a lot. So I'm quite familiar with the game. Will upset somebody. Earthworm Jim. I don't know. Couldn't quite get on with that.
Oh, it's brilliant.
I just didn't seem to know what I was doing. That may just be me.
It is. I can see how it can be confusing, especially that first level, because you're bouncing around on tires and stuff.
I must be honest with you, Pete. I got stuck.
Yeah.
I ended up getting stuck somewhere, and I thought, you know what?
There's like instead. Certain walls you can go through, certain walls you can't, and stuff like that. It is quite a confusing first level for a game, actually, but it's one of those games like I finished it a couple of weeks back on the Evercade, and it was just complete muscle memory because I'd played it so much as a kid.
Oh no, I like again. Talk about good-looking games. It's a very, very good-looking game. The graphics are very, very cartoony. It's sound effects. The sound on it's really good as well. But if I knew what I was doing. Obviously, I had a penchant playing really difficult games because then I played Ghouls and Ghosts.
Oh, I played that recently as well.
I don't know why I play these games, put myself through it. I think because I'm under the impression that, as I said last week, I think you look at somebody playing a game and you think, well, that doesn't look too difficult, does it? Goodness me, I could do that. I think we talked Metal Slug. Yeah.
It wasn't me when I was doing the PC Engine Mini stream, was it? Because you tuned in at that time when I was playing it.
Yeah, I mentioned it then, but I think we were talking about games last week. I think Nathan was talking about Metal Slug.
Yeah,
I sort of said, that's.
Forgot about the PC Engine Mini. I played all that as well.
Yeah. Oh, of course. Yeah, I've been playing through that as well. But yeah, Ghouls and Ghosts just reputation precedes itself, and I knew it was a difficult game anyway, so I thought that's not so bad. Then I played Mega Man. God, that was
Step down, yeah.
Oh, crying out loud! That was a terrible experience. In fact, I destroyed the footage of that because it was just so awful. It really was. I mean, I try and give people an idea of the game rather than just sort of have me on the opening. Oh, hello.
What's happening?
What is happening there?
I've no idea. I'm fine.
What happened then?
I have no idea. Was that me?
I have no idea at all. Wow.
What was the noise then?
I don't know.
Carry on.
Jeez, I will do. Yeah. I might have to edit that bit out. I will just keep talking. What on earth was that? Someone's trying to take over. It's the Lucky Hit podcast that they're trying to take over. Yeah. Anyway, right. Yeah. So I was like, oh yeah, Mega Man. Oh well, perhaps it was just that game. Just sums up exactly what it was. I just try and give people an idea of the footage of playing the game, and then all of a sudden, I thought I can't record anything of this because I can't get past the first bloody bits. It was just too hard, just way too hard. Or I'm crap at games.
I'm sure Eddie said that he'd played through all the Mega Man games quite recently.
He's got constitution. All I wanted to do after playing that for 5 minutes was throw the pad through the television. I really did. I haven't felt like that for years. I thought I'm getting nowhere with this. Getting nowhere with this at all. And then the last game I played, which I really, really enjoyed, and I had this when I had the Mega Drive again, and I've still got it. I've still got it. I've got another copy of it since. It's Road Rash 2.
Oh yeah.
What a brilliant game that is! So much fun playing that.
I thought you were going to say Probotector then while you were going through all the hard games.
No, I did think about it, and then something at the back of my mind thought, no, don't try that one. Just play Road Rash because you've played that before. And it did take me a couple of goes to get me feel back to it, but yeah, I mean, it was. I absolutely loved it. And then the other game I did play another game. Yeah, Darius.
Darius.
Yeah, it's one of the many shoot 'em ups on the PC Engine as well.
Yeah, I think I did better on the PC Engine version than I did on the Mega Drive version because I thought I'm sure I played that on the PC Engine. I'll do that one, and I was crap at that as well. So yeah, if you want a good laugh, go and watch my Mega Drive mini video and watch the short amount of footage that is on there, and you'll just have an idea of what I was on about. But yeah, so that's been my gaming week and our gaming week up until that point. And apologies for what on earth was going on. That I'm not quite sure. So, on to this week's sort of discussion, as we always have after gaming week. And we thought this week what we'd just do is again, sort of thrown together on the fly, which is how we like to do things. And we thought we'd just talk about a couple of things from our collections where we've desperately wanted to get, we desperately wanted something. We've been waiting for something to come out, whether it be a console or a game or whatever. Absolutely chomping at the bit to get it, and we get it, and it's exactly what we expected it to be. It is the bee's knees. It is the big cheese. It is the best thing ever. But also at the same time, the flip side of that, just to sort of bring everybody down a bit, is the other side of it. So again, same anticipation, same greatness, same sort of chomping at the bit to get it. And then it's a real disappointment. It is something that absolutely nothing will fix in the world to make that what you want it to be. It is a massive letdown or a big disappointment, and it's either gathering dust on your collection, got rid of it quickly as possible. Rob, like to start us off?
Can do. I found it a little bit tricky to think of something when he threw it at us. But
yeah, threw it at you, literally.
Threw it at us like 10 minutes before we started.
Well, my initial thought for tonight's discussion was Einstein's theory of relativity, fact or fiction. But I thought that was probably a bit too highbrow for us, so...
Yeah, just a tad.
Just
not
a tad,
quite, yeah. But something I'm thinking of, it happened probably, was it early this year or late last year? Put it this way, yeah, very recently. But obviously for years, back in the day, I had one of these about a year after it launched, and I absolutely idolised this console. It's probably, thinking quickly, I'll go with second favourite console of all time behind the 360, and I played it to death, quite literally. I literally burnt it out. And I've had the collection of games for years and not the system. And then I finally got one back into my life after building up the CEX credits slowly. And that is just getting another Dreamcast again after being without one for so long. And the moment I'd ordered it off CEX and I was waiting for it to turn up, that when it finally dropped, I couldn't open it quick enough. And as I say, having those... Probably only about a dozen games, but trust me, for me, there's so much quality there. That's why they just never left. But just to have one re-enter my life again was just an absolute golden moment to me. It really was.
It was everything that you...
And more.
And everything you expect to be, and much more than
and
that.
More.
Yeah,
I was going to say, I knew what it was going to be. I was going to say, I was struggling to think of anything sort of kind of new to me in recent times. But just honestly, the moment that came again and being able to play, again, unhealthy love for Virtua Striker 2, even though it's probably not a great football game at all. In fact, it's probably worse than the first one, but no release of the first one ever happened. But I absolutely adore it. Being able to play that again, my Crazy Taxi again, Daytona USA 2001, the Soul Calibur, which for me is the best port of a Soul Calibur game ever, Sega Rally. Do you know what I mean? Just having the access to play them again after literally burning my old Dreamcast out and then giving it to a friend to repair who never gave it back.
Did they repair it?
I don't know. If they did, they got a free Dreamcast. But I doubt it. That thing was knackered.
Just wondering whatever happened to it, that's all.
Yeah, but now. it was literally on 24/7 when I wasn't out of the house. I just adored it because I've always maintained that I'm an arcade person, always was growing up, and it just had so many quality arcade ports. I didn't even mention Sega Bass Fishing. I'll even throw that out there because you love a fishing game, don't you, Ben?
I do love a fishing game. Yeah.
It's the only decent fishing game, if you ask me. I'm sorry if that's upset you, but in my eyes, it really is the only decent fishing game.
No, I think because it had that fishing rod attachment for a start, didn't it?
Yeah, I never had that, but to be honest with you, it still works fine without it.
But I remember seeing it, sort of people talking about how good it was.
I mean, the arcade cab with the piece of string was just phenomenal. I know you can't get that in your house, but but yeah. And of course, we've already mentioned Virtua Tennis as well. Of course, that had the awesome ports of that as well. Did I already say Power Stone? Because Power Stone, it doesn't matter. It deserves a second mention if I have. It's that good. It is that good, Power Stone.
I've only ever played Power Stone on the PSP, and I just could not fathom what was going on that little screen.
Yeah, I've not played it on the PSP, but I could probably imagine it would be a bit of a hindrance on a smaller screen. But it's great for 2-player, but the final boss in 1-player mode, wow, yeah, that could have you breaking a few controllers if you're that way inclined to rage.
Pete, what about you? Something that if the good side of the list.
I've been thinking, and it's like I think I'd probably go with the Retro Freak, the games console, which is like a lot more people are more familiar with Retron 5. This is virtually the Japanese version of that. But it also accepts PC Engine cards as well as the SNES, NES, Mega Drive, and all that kind of thing. And also lets you back up your games onto the hard drive as well, or if you're a bit crafty, then you can take the SD card out and download ROMs and put them on it. So
backups, yeah.
Backups, that's it. Me having a newfound affinity for piracy, I've recently I've been downloading I've downloaded full ROM sets for the NES, the SNES, the Mega Drive, the Master System, and the Game Boy Advance. I'm not bothered with the Game Boy or Game Boy Color because I've got no real need to play those games. But if I did want to play those games, I'd much rather buy an EverDrive and play them actually handheld. But yeah, I've loaded up my Retro Freak with all those games now, and it's just a dream come true. The emulation is really good and everything, and it's something I coveted for years, and I finally found one for the right price on Facebook Marketplace from a guy in Leeds who didn't want to post it, but I managed to talk him around to it. And when I got it, it was immediately, this is amazing. It's my favourite thing in the world, and also makes it so much better with the fact that it'll accept the 8BitDo wireless USB adapters and their wireless pads.
Oh yes.
So I've got 3 of those, the 8BitDo controllers and 2 of the wireless adapters. So I've got one that's based on a SNES pad and one that's based on a Mega Drive pad. So I kind of interchange between those and play the games with a controller that feels like it should be playing those games, if you get what I mean. And it's just all around just a really nice addition to what I've got. And I know Eddie's got one, and Nath recently picked one up as well. I swear by it. I don't really know what their opinions are of it, but for me, I couldn't be without it.
I think it's a strange name for a console, there.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just call it the Freak. It's just what I call it. But,
I don't know. I just whether it's lost in translation or something like that. But
for me, I just realised I could have used the Retron 5 as an answer for this question for exactly the same reasons as Pete just said. I totally forgot about it, but yeah.
I could have come back to you. I could have asked you again about it. Do you want to talk about it afterwards?
No, I think Pete's covering it by talking about the Retro Freak because it's literally the same thing. It's just access to other games.
Yeah,
I don't need loads of consoles.
They've got the same emulators running in the two machines. Actually, it's like literally apart from the PC Engine on the Retro Freak, it's literally the same machine inside.
Yeah, I don't think this does PC Engine, but it's just a great space saver for me and a way to have them all hooked up with one HDMI lead, you know.
Yeah.
And all the Japanese SNES games I'm now can play and things like that.
Yeah, it's just
brilliant.
Lifesaver.
Even stick Game Boy games in it as well. GBAs in the front. Brilliant.
Yeah.
It covers all the major consoles and systems, and about 150 quid was it or something?
I paid 100 for mine, but I did get it second hand off Facebook Marketplace, like I said. I think it's creeping up in value now because it's been discontinued, which leads me to hope they might be making a new one with N64 support. But I don't know.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, I think it's Hyperkin are making an HD N64 console.
Are they?
Yeah, I think it's Hyperkin.
That's who makes the Retron 5.
Yeah, because I'm hoping they'll make their cartridge slots a little less tight than they are on.
The problem.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. The NES slot on mine is brutal.
Well,
it worries me every time. I wouldn't put an expensive game in that one.
I've got the Retron HD, which is for the NES, and I don't like putting my cartridges in.
All the others seem to be quite forgiving on my particular one, but the NES slot, it's just like, put two hands on the, put a foot and a hand on the console and pull it out. It's bad. It's real bad.
The Famicom slot on the Retro Freaks is really tight. The rest of them seem to be fine. It's just the Famicom one, so maybe it's just the NES that these machines don't like.
Who knows? And the controller's crap as well on the Retron 5. It is crap. The 8-bit do wireless one has been a real saver.
Yeah, the controller that comes with the Retro Freak is basically a SNES pad. It feels a little bit loose with the buttons, but it's perfectly serviceable. But it's not wireless, and I just wanted it. I wanted a wireless experience. One of my first goals for when I got a game room was to have everything running wirelessly, but I've come to realise as I've got more into more retro stuff and playing like the original hardware on CRT TV, I've come to realise that's not going to be something that's going to happen. But I have just invested in a bunch of controller extension cables for various systems as well. So,
wire controllers remove any potential input lag, though. That's why in professional tournaments you always see them use wired controllers.
Yeah.
So it's not.
I don't tend to notice stuff like that though. It's like like people who count frames and stuff in fighting games. It's like that. I don't know. Maybe that's why I've never been particularly good at fighting games. But
I'm just no good at them at all. Full stop. I mean, I've got sort of. Anybody got any other ones before I sort of jump in with mine?
Just like one small one. I remember when the game Legacy of Kain Defiance came out. It was the last game released in that series. I can remember sort of almost running into Game Station in Rotherham Town Centre, like with my arms stretched out to like a big display that was at the front of the shop, and like grabbing it and like running to the counter and that, and like thrusting it at the guy behind the counter, and the guy just went, "I've been looking forward to this one then." But yeah, Legacy of Kain's one of my favourite series of all time, and it seemed so long between Soul Reaver 2 and Defiance coming out. I was just so happy to have that, and it was such a good game, probably the best in the series. And then they cancelled it.
Well, it happens sometimes, isn't it? You look forward to something like that, and you wonder why they do something like it.
Every so often they'll do something, and it makes me think maybe they'll reboot the series, and then they never do. It's like they released a weird sort of arena combat game on, I think it was on Steam, set in the Legacy of Kain world, and didn't do very well, so they took it down and like got rid of all the servers for it and everything. And then they had one of the Lara Croft games. I think it was Lara Croft and the Guardian of Light.
Was it Guardian or Angel of Darkness?
Angel of Darkness was a Tomb Raider game on the PS2. It was the one on the PS3. The Lara Croft and whatever something. That had like a DLC thing where you could play as Kain and Raziel from Legacy of Kain and stuff. And it's like every so often they'll do something like that, and it'll make me think, they're still interested in this series.
It seems very interesting to put something in like that with, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, but it never pans out. But I'm still hoping that one day they might reboot it and they'll probably make a pig's ear of it, and I'll hate it. But
you've just described experience there, which I've certainly never done myself. That excited to wait for a game to come out and sort of race down to the shops and pick it up. I've never done anything. Have you done something like that, Rob? Or?
It jogged in my mind something I did recently, but I didn't rush to the shops for it, and that is, I didn't need to mention it earlier. I actually paid extra to have Gears 5 delivered the morning, as in as early as possible, from game, so that I could play it all day and the next day before I had to return back to work and smash out the campaign in that time as well. So I didn't rush to the shop, but I made them bring it bloody early. So
I can't remember the last time I actually went out and bought a game, but this was when I was in college, so I was like 18.
I think if I did that to a game race, I think I did it with Crash. I did it with Crash Team Racing, but that was kind of the day after it came out. I was like, I can't go out the day it came out, but I'll go the day out after and just pick it up. I didn't quite do what you did. I didn't thrust it at the guy. I just went, could I have this one, mate? Sort of thing. But yeah.
I mean, from my experience, I've got two I want to sort of throw out here. The first one would have been when I started sort of my collection again, which goes back to like 2009, I think it was. And one of the very first consoles that I wanted to pick up, and I know this is going to sort of like annoy and split people, but one of the very first consoles that I wanted to pick up, and was the very first console that I bought as sort of starting this collection again, was the N64. Because I never had one originally. And even though I had some very unhappy times playing it, it was for some reason the very first console that I wanted to pick up. I started collecting stuff like I did. And I found one at a car boot for £10 with a controller. About the going rate at the time for it anyway, before the prices started shooting up. And then I can't remember which game it was I bought with it first, but I just wanted to get one, and it's a console that I've actually now grown to appreciate more. I was quite in favour of it at the time, but now I've owned one and been able to play the games on my own, not been part of multiplayer sort of death matches, kart races, and be able to sit down and just play something and appreciate the games on the console, like Perfect Dark and Violet Wings, and Mario 64, and GoldenEye single player mode. I mentioned it a few episodes ago. I absolutely love that game, not because you can have 4-player deathmatch on it, but because you can, the actual single player game itself is a very, very solid game. So that for me was the one, but the big one probably. I have to appreciate this because years and years ago, I never had anything like this. I had an Atari 2600 when we were growing up. Probably from, I think it was just at the age of 14, we had an Amiga 500. In between that, everybody else I knew, we're probably talking from sort of, I say, 1985 to 1989. In those 4-year gaps, everybody else I knew had computers. They had consoles, so they had, the 8-bits. Some people got into the 16-bit home computers. People started getting Master Systems. But after that, I never got anything between that, so I used to spend most of my time playing on my friends' other systems. If you cast your minds back to Christmas Day 2009, at my age, which I was at the time, 34, my big present for Christmas that year was off my, I think it was a combination from my Mrs. Bear's mum and Mrs. Bear, was a Commodore 64.
Nice. Christmas
1984, all over again in our house, 25 years later. And it was a boxed one. And it's almost like I was transported back to being a child, because I practically, took the wrapping paper off it, and I could see it was a boxed one. They'd done their research; they got a very good one. And all I could say, I felt like I said, no freaking way, and just ripped the paper off it. It was like, wow, look at this, And they again got me I think a data cassette to go with it as well. And I think there were 2 games, which were Beachhead and Monty on the Run. And I just remember sitting on Christmas Day, sort of having played Monty on the Run and found out what a stupidly difficult game it was, and just sitting there listening to the high score music table. The music on the high score table, just sitting there listening. God, this is fantastic, absolutely brilliant. And I've always wanted one of those. Everybody else had one. I knew when I was younger. I spent most of my time playing on one. I'd always wanted one, and I've got so many games for it now, and it's just probably right up there being one of my favourite systems forever. But yeah, Christmas 2009, I was there, as if I was 8 years old again. It was fun. You see there's people do videos of kids opening Nintendos back in the 1980s for Christmas. I was like that. That's exactly what I was like. Absolutely thrilled to bits to get something. So, and it was, mate. And that year 2000, when I started, recollecting stuff again, building my collection, that was sort of the highlight of that year, really, for me. So on the other side, I mean, I'll as I'm going on now, on the other side, stuff I've been wanted to get hold of and been severely disappointed with. I was trying to think of games, but I couldn't cast my mind to anything in particular. But something I bought very, very recently, within the sort of the last 8 months or so, which I just haven't been able to get on with at all. I was desperately wanting to get one as soon as I possibly could do at the right price, was the NES Mini. Now, I know it's not really a system as such because it's reloaded with 30 odd games, but I so wanted one of these when they came out. I didn't get one, and then I managed to find one early this year at the right price. It's just, I don't know, it's just so underwhelming. It really has done.
I kind of get where you're coming from with that, actually, because it's like the library of games, they're all classics, but they're not it's not imaginative. It's exactly what you'd expect.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I know what I think is. I've got other mini systems. Talked about the Mega Drive Mini. Rob's mentioned the PC Engine Mini. We've got those. And I've played those far more already than I've played this one. I mean, you look at the back and it is a. You have got all the games you'd expect to see on there. Kirby, Zelda, Mario, Donkey Kong. You got Punch Out on there, Castlevania. I'd expect to see those games on there, but it leaves me a bit.
You almost wanted them to throw a hidden gem at you by the sound of it.
Yeah.
Something that should have got more love than it deserved because it was that good a game.
I was never a big fan of the NES originally anyway. I've said that a few times before. But it just sort of I don't know. Perhaps it was me, but I'm expecting more from it. I'm not getting it. And
no, I know exactly where you're coming from.
Yeah, I'm glad somebody does, because I'm beginning to think I'm sort of missing the point with this. But I've certainly got more out of the other 2 mini systems I've got than that one, and that one has been sort of played 2 or 3 times, and it's sat on the shelf, where the other ones have had them sort of out quite often and played quite often. So that for me is that was a massive disappointment. So I was so looking forward to getting hold of that. Wasn't quite what I was.
I've got at least one version of all the mini systems, and the ones that I've played the most of, without any word or lie, are probably the 2 that have been least well received. Being the PlayStation 1 and the Neo Geo one.
Yeah.
And it's the Neo Geo one especially. It's just because it's stuff that you never played before,
and you're never likely to have played as well, because it cost us some of that software when it came out. But yeah,
and it's like looking through the NES one. It's like, oh, there's Mario 2, Mario 3, Zelda. Yeah, I've played all those before. Looking through the Neo Geo one, it's like, what the hell's Blazing Stars?
That's a great game.
It's really good, actually. Yeah, I've played it start to finish. It's really good. But there's nothing to discover on the NES Mini.
Yeah, like I said, I'd look at that, and you quite right said, a load of stuff already played on there.
I've always said the minis are kind of aimed at people that aren't collectors or who never really had the console. If you're looking at the library, that's like for me personally. I appreciate that people collect minis as well. I think I know you do, Pete. But for me personally, I'm only interested in a mini that is something I don't collect for or I haven't had a lot of experience with. So if I hadn't had this coin ops thing here with a NES and SNES library loaded on it, they were very much on my hit list. They're not now, but that's why I was very interested in getting a PC Engine Mini because I've never ever played any PC Engine stuff. I probably, because of what I already collect, can't afford to branch out into PC Engine games and the system because of the prices some of that stuff demands. So the PC Engine Mini was perfect for me. So that's why I always think, for us as collectors who play a lot of games, when we get their minis and they're like, well, it's just loaded with everything that's common and we expect, but at the same time, they're not really aimed at us,
I think that's why the Mega Drive Mini was for me, and I said it in the comments I've left and responded to, is that gave us a much more far more different library than we would have expected. They actually made an effort. They actually made an effort to put some decent games on there, not the same games they were chucking out with all the other stuff.
It was quite funny when they made that. People started going, "Why isn't Tomb Raider on there? Why isn't Metal Gear on there?" and things like that. And it's just like, why do you want them on there? They're the common stuff that you played.
Yeah,
Metal Gear is on there.
Oh, is it? Sorry, bad example. You can tell I haven't got one, can't you?
Yeah.
But
the thing is with me is like what started me off with the mini consoles is that it actually was the PlayStation one that started me off collecting them. Because I got the PlayStation one because I loved the PS1 so much, and it was like the most influential console I've owned. If you know what I'm getting at, it's the console that seemed to be with me for the largest period of my life, even though it wasn't the largest period of my life, but it was like basically my whole adolescence was with the PlayStation 1. So I got that just for the nostalgia value, and just seeing it under my TV, and it just looks cute.
So the one thing that is very demanding about all of them, or is very enticing, sorry, not demanding, is the fact that they are small and they look cute.
Yeah, that's what got me going about it. I saw it and I'm like, that is cute, and I love it, and I really want the Nintendo ones now. And then Mega Drive came out, and the Mega Drive before the PlayStation was the console that I had, so I had to get that one, and I don't know, it's just all spiraled from there. But
the one of them I'm going to sort of chuck out as well on this disappointed side, and this is going to sort of be a complete curveball. I just sat here thinking about it. I thought, I'll just be trying to get a game in all my stuff, and probably one of the most disappointing games that I ever played. Even though the system I played on was incredibly limited, you'll understand what I mean when I say that. It was Ghostbusters on the Atari 2600. And the reason I'm throwing that in there, because I think at the time I paid about $14.99 for it. Horrendous amount of money to pay for that. I got it from Toys R Us. And all I'd heard about was the fact that people used to talk about how Ghostbusters was. Well, I expect people to talk about Ghostbusters at school, what a good game it was. And I think the only reason I said it was a good game because the Commodore 1 shouted Ghostbusters at them. Not a particularly great.
Did it have the music?
Oh god, the music on the Atari 2600, mate. I tell you something, it was painful. But it's a poor game. It's just a terrible game. And I remember just being so excited to finally get it, and on the Atari 2600 of all things. I mean, I had a choice of games. I could have booked. But I did buy it at some point later, Kung Fu Master. And also the other games I could have done was Rampage. There was the 2600 version of Rampage, and also Double Dragon as well. And I went for Ghostbusters. It really was horrible. The music was horrendous. Gameplay was. Yeah, I probably would have been 12, 13 years old spending 15 quid on a bloody Atari 2600 game at that point in my life.
Is it in any way similar to the Master System version?
I've never played the Master System version, mate, so
I remember my friend had the Mega Drive version of Ghostbusters, which is awesome. And
the Mega Drive version is completely different.
Yeah, we played tons of that, and it was just a brilliant game. And then he dusted off his Master System, and I think it was because we'd been at a car boot sale or something. We were talking like 9, 10 years old at that time. and found a bunch of Master System games there, and Ghostbusters was one of those as well.
Yeah.
So we grabbed that, and we went to his and like pulled the Master System out of the loft and stuff. And yeah, the Master System version of it was terrible. It was like a top-down view, like a map screen.
Yeah,
and you had to go to different buildings.
Yeah, it's the same version as that were on the 8-bit home system, so it's the same version as 2600.
Yeah, it was a bad game.
Yeah, because I was the biggest thing I was the only person who actually hated that game, amongst many other games that I hate. But now, apparently, a lot of people look back and they think, yeah, it was actually crap, to be honest with you. So. Pete, anything to fall on the rubbish list?
Something
disappointing list?
Very, very recently, I picked up a game called Daymare 1998 on the PS4. Back before Capcom were doing their like remakes of the Resident Evil games, this was there was a fan remake of Resident Evil 2 done in like a Resident Evil 4 style, doing the rounds like on YouTube and stuff, and it caught the eye of Capcom, and they were thinking of remaking Resident Evil 2 anyway, apparently. So they sort of like got a hold of the guys who were making this remake. Apparently brought them into the Capcom offices, and gave them a tour and everything, and said like, we are remaking Resident Evil 2 and would like you to stop, but you've got our full blessing to use basically everything you've learned from this and make your own game and make it your own thing and make it special. And so yeah, this like small team went out with Capcom's blessing to make 2 old survival horror games, and they came up with Daymare 1998. And I bought it after learning about it from Eddie the other week, well, about a month ago. And I was going into it expecting it to not be, because it's only made by like a small team, and it was like an indie game, and made by inexperienced people and stuff, just basically kids who were fans of the games and stuff. And I was expecting it to be sort of rough around the edges because of that. What I actually played was probably the worst game I've ever played in my life. I mean, it looks like a sort of high-end original Xbox game, which I can sort of, I can forgive that because it's like made by a really small team on no budget. It's the gameplay that really bothered me. The sort of zombies that come at you when you shoot them, they don't seem to even flinch. It's like being hit with a bullet. It's fair enough if they don't feel pain, yeah, but you'd still get like the knockback from the actual impact of the bullet hitting you. The voice acting's horrific, and it's not even horrific like in a good way, like in the first Resident Evil games. It's just
it's worse than that.
Well, back then it was like, because they didn't hire voice actors for the original Resident Evil games. Apparently they just did used members of the team to do the voice acting. The guy who plays Barry Burton in Resident Evil is also the same guy who shouts Street Fighter EX plus Alpha at the start of that game. So, this it's like sort of like, if you're like 11 years old and you're writing dialogue which you think is cool, and it's just really cringeworthy. It's kind of like,
I used to write so much cringeworthy stuff back then. I still do, actually.
I don't know. It's like I can't think of an example, but it's like doing like really cringeworthy one-liners after killing a zombie and stuff like that. But the real thing that really put me off was the fact that when you're shooting and you reload, they tried to make it realistic. So when you take a clip out and put the next clip in, you only have 2 clips, and it, like, say if you shoot like, I don't know, 8 bullets off and you've got like 4 bullets left in your clip, you reload. The next time you reload, you'll put the original clip back in and it'll only have 4 bullets in. And you've got to manually sort of go into your menu and fill the clip up with bullets before you reload again. And it's just, frustrating. It's like, it seems like a decent idea on paper because it's more realism and no one ever's done it, but there's a reason no one ever's done it. It's just because it's terrible.
Yeah, I mean, do you think if they'd actually carried on making that Resident Evil, carried on making that game,
I'm so glad they didn't, because I thought, I loved the last 2 remakes of Resident Evil games, and I would have sought out this one if they had actually got released, but I think it would have soured my my memory of the game. But
it might have been a blessing in disguise.
Yeah,
back on it.
But yeah, it's just, I don't know. I can feel Eddie chastising me for not, for this, because it's like a small team who've made the game and shouldn't be judging it too highly. But a bad game is a bad game.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Honestly, it's like, I've played some of the worst games. I mean, I've got Shaq Fu, I've got Rogue Warrior, is it, on the PS3? I aspire to one day own a copy of ET on the 2600.
I had one originally, but
I saw one come up from Sore Thumbs, actually, an advert on Facebook today, and I was like, oh, I really want that.
I'm always prepared to give a game a judgment, benefit of the doubt until they actually play it, and then depends on what you think about it, is what area it falls into. Yeah. But yeah, there are some.
But yeah, it's like I can normally see something good out of a bad game, and I can usually take the good, overlook the bad parts about it and find something that's charming.
That's right.
But there was nothing about this that appealed to me. It was just, as a huge fan of the sort of late 90s, early 2000s survival horror games, this was just literally one of the worst games I've ever played.
You can see why interest in it would have been peaked at the start of it.
Yeah. Well, as soon as I heard that it actually blossomed into an actual fully released game, I went straight on Amazon and ordered it. But no, it's honestly one of the worst games I've ever played in my life, and I'm not even half exaggerating. I was so disappointed. I think I managed about half an hour of it before I decided I was never playing it again.
And what we've got there, ladies and gentlemen, is 2 examples of somebody rushing out to buy a game and sort of getting both sort of sides of the stick on it. One was a good experience, one not so good.
Yeah.
Rob, to bring it around full circle, anything on your sort of crushing disappointment list that you're looking forward to?
Yeah, I can think of one game for 3 different systems. Start from oldest system to current gen. The oldest one I can think of is, obviously, back in the day, the first system that I ever owned was a Game Gear. I've touched on that in the past. And for I adore the Game Gear as well. I absolutely think for me, it's the best handheld ever, but a lot of that's nostalgia driven. I appreciate that. But every game I've ever owned for the Game Gear, I've never got rid of. I've always kept. There is one exception. I think I've actually brought it up before, and I was just so excited for it because I loved Sonic. The game that came with my Game Gear was the first Sonic, which is an absolutely amazing game. Sonic 2 is a little bit because of the first boss more than anything, believe it or not. But I still thought, yeah, it's all right. I'm not getting rid of that. Sonic Chaos, I know a lot of people don't like that, but I quite loved it. So I got so excited. I saved up my pocket money. I went out. I bought Sonic Spinball. Oh, it was toilet. It was absolute toilet. I hated it. And I thought, I've saved up ages for this, and I absolutely hate it. I think there's only 5 levels on the Game Gear. I don't know how many there are on the Mega Drive. I forget. I must admit, I've played the Mega Drive game since, and don't think much of that either, but at least it's better than the Game Gear one. And yeah, it was horrendous. And the music, oh my God, I had to turn it off. It was horrible. So yeah, as a young boy, to save up a lot of money to buy that game and then not want it. And I did actually manage to trade it in. It was actually a car boot sale that had market stall kind of people there as well. And one guy did games, and apparently it was quite a sought after game as well. So I took it up to the guy and said, will you swap this? And the game I chose was Super Off-Road. And he looked at me, and his eyes, I think they widened because he realised it was Sonic Spinball and it was quite, in demand. And he just took one look at me and said, normally I have to take some money for a trade, but I will do it this time. And I gave him Sonic Spinball, and he gave me Super Off-Road, which is an absolutely fantastic game and port on the Game Gear. But
I think you got the good end of the deal there, mate, to be honest with
you. By the way his eyes lit up, I guess it was still commanding good money then, because it was still relatively new as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But yeah, Sonic Spinball on the Game Gear.
Yeah,
ironically, I want a full set, so I'll probably buy it again at some point. But back then, no.
Yeah, I mean, Sonic Spinball is a game which appeared on the Mega Drive Mini, and again, pointed out on like the comments on that video, I did sort of say that that yes, of course, because everybody wanted to see that game again on the compilation, and it seems to crop up on every single one. I don't know whether the game developers have got some sort of incriminating photographs of the heads of Sega at the time, because that game just nobody likes it. I've not really found anybody who's puts a good word in for Sonic Spinball.
It appeared on like a random, I think they call it Sega Smash Pack on a GBA alongside Echo the Dolphin and Golden Axe. I mean, what a trio to pick!
Yeah,
for one cartridge on the Game Boy Advance.
I've actually got
random.
I've actually got a pretty good condition copy of it on the Mega Drive. Checked it with the manual and the hangers in place and the little Sega stickers on the side of it. It's all rather clean and
probably played once.
Yeah, I haven't played it. I certainly haven't played it. I've played it on emulation, but
I've actually, in my time, put in quite a decent amount of time into that game, and I've never got off the first level.
I've managed to do that, but I think
the second level,
the second level on the Mega Drive does me. I did finish it on the Game Gear, but the second Mega Drive on the level does me. But one thing that actually blew my mind, and I think it was either late last year or early this year that I discovered it, and when you fall down the hole in the middle into that little crate or that little toxic drum, and you can jump out of it, you can actually row in it as well. No, you can actually row in that. You can row in it sideways and up another hole. I didn't know that. It blew my mind.
I knew you could row left and right, but apparently you can just row like straight over to the other side of the screen, can't you, or something like that? Which I never knew.
I never knew that until like recently. It blew my mind.
But I think it's all right. It's just I could never get off the first screen.
I think it's a concept that should work. Sorry, Robert. I think it's a concept that should work. Sonic and spinning around and from the concept of the first game, whatever. I think it was a reasonably good idea. I think you got some levels in Sonic 2 on the casino zone as well.
Yeah.
Bounced around. So for me, I think it should work, but it doesn't.
I think the other thing about it is you kind of get thrown into the level, obviously, and not really told what to do, where to go, and you end up getting lost in the same little section until you accidentally put yourself somewhere else, and you're like, "Oh, this is new." But
you're just describing my experience with Earthworm Jim the other day. It's exactly the same thing that happened to me. Oh dear. Anybody want anything else? Sorry, Rob. Sorry.
I was going to say, I've got second game out of the three is a 360 game.
Yeah.
And this was when I was going through. I went through another sort of Guitar Hero phase when I moved back in January, and discovered the guitar again. I thought, I've got to play that again. And I played through all the ones I had, and then I bought Van Halen, played through that, and then I thought, I'm only missing one on the old Guitar Hero games. I'll get Guitar Hero Greatest Hits. And then, because it was called Greatest Hits, I was like, this surely is going to be amazing. It's the priciest one of the lot. I can't wait to get hold of this. And it turned out to be the biggest track list garbage I've ever come across all the games. Because it's just, it's got the tracks, and it's got what Guitar Hero game they appeared on. But it's just like, this is the ones we have the licenses left for. So let's quickly whack them on a game before they run out. They just didn't even pick the big tracks and the best tracks.
That greatest hits, you say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You should just call it, I was going to say just call it hits, but it's not even that.
Call it some songs we still have.
Yeah, some songs we still own. Really, really disappointing. And yet it's the priciest one.
Rhymes with hits.
It's the priciest one. I just had a look at CX also, charging £12 for it.
Also an anagram of hits.
Yeah. During lockdown, it went up to £20 at one point. It's down at 12 again.
There were some very bored people during lockdown.
Clearly.
I saw it in a charity shop for £2 not long back, and I wish I'd picked it up because
£7 trade at the moment.
Yeah, it's just that and Van Halen are the only ones I don't have on the 360.
Van Halen pleasantly surprised me because it has songs that they like as well. Yeah. And the songs that they like, they pick some stellar choices.
I think we talked about this last time, and the only Van Halen song we could name was Jump.
Jump.
Yes, that was that.
To be fair, Jump is a really good song.
Yeah, it is a good song. Yeah.
But yeah, I'd seen them Greatest Hits in a charity shop for £2. I thought, £2 for a Guitar Hero game? Never.
Yes. I'm not paying that.
Yeah. And I wish I picked it up now.
I paid £8 for mine before it rose again and again and again, even though it's dropped down again. But yeah.
Warriors of Rock is the worst one.
No.
Yes, it is.
No.
Yes, it is. Possibly ahead of Van Halen. I don't know. I haven't got Greatest Hits.
That's why it's not the worst to you then.
I might have it on the PlayStation 3, but can't see a copy at the moment.
Yeah.
I was trying to see if I got it on the Wii, but I don't think it came out on the Wii.
I think I liked Warriors of Rock more than I liked World Tour.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
What's World Tour got on it? But I remember buying Warriors of Rock because I hadn't got it, and I thought, well, I can't find anything remotely interesting on here.
Legends of Rock is the best one.
World Tour's got No Sleep Till Brooklyn, so already it's better than Warriors.
I'll give you that.
Yeah, Legends of Rock's the best one. Guitar Hero 3.
Guitar Hero 3 is the best.
If you're going to own one, just own that one. That's all you need.
It was the first one I played. And yeah, fell in love with it. It's awesome. In fact, I played the demo on the Xbox 360 so much that my wife has flashbacks to like Vietnam War flashbacks to every time she hears the song "Slow Ride" by Foghat.
Remember this time in Africa, or was it Steve? Was it? was it Pete?
Thing. Yeah. I just every time she walked in, I was playing "Slow Ride," and she absolutely hates that song now.
Yeah.
What was the last one, Rob? Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, what was you going to say?
You got the last one.
The last one is current gen, and this is probably going to divide opinions. But I played the first game after a long time after it came out, and it drew me in straight away. I enjoyed it. It frustrated me every now and again with your next mission is here, and you'd have to go across half the map or the whole map in one case on horseback. You probably know where I'm going with this now. And then I decided to pre-order and pre-download. You had to wait till midnight on the day to play it. The second one, and it was Red Dead Redemption 2. And midnight hit. I played it for about an hour and a half, and I was bored, S-less. And I haven't really been compelled to go back and give it a second try. And for it being, hyped up as much as it was, and not pull me in like the first one did. I've still got it sitting on my hard drive. Because I pre-ordered it, I don't even own it physically. I own it digitally as well, and I bought the super top dogs all-in version as well for like £70. And I played it for an hour and a half. Got a 10G achievement sitting there with it, and I just can't bring myself to go back to it. There might be people screaming at me, give it another half hour and things like that. But
where I would view that game as art and an absolute masterpiece, I would say it's very slow to start.
And I can't deal with slow games. I need them to pull me in and really grab my attention.
I was saying that to my wife the other night after playing Ghost of Tsushima and it being like 30 hours or whatever. You don't get like nice, apart from like indie games, you don't get like nice like 6 to 8 hour games anymore. And back in the day, like the 360 and PS3, everyone was complaining because you'd spend £40 on a new game and you'd be done with it in 2 days. And nowadays, it's like every game that comes out is like 30, 40 hours long. And you end up with a backlog. And I just wish a game had come out that was 6 hours long and I could just breeze through it.
Yeah, but as long as you're not paying £40 for it.
See, I don't mind that. You go to the cinema now, you end up spending about 15-20 quid once you've got your snacks and stuff, and you see 2 hours worth of film. So why is 40 quid not? Why is that too much for like 8 hours entertainment?
Just puts a bit of pressure on them to make it replayable then, as well.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean,
a lot of the reason why arcade stuff is because they were designed that way. You've had your one go at Street Fighter 2. It's great enough to want to play again straight away, even if you finish it.
Yeah, it's like I was on about our arcade club. I sat and played through Alien vs Predator. It took me about 45 minutes.
But what a game!
What a game! Exactly, it's my favorite arcade game ever made, and I will just sit and replay that over and over again.
First one I played on this Coin-Op's Xbox.
Yeah.
As soon as I hooked it up, I was like, "Oh, Sean, you're a legend. We know you're a legend, but it just needs to be said a lot." And I was just like, "This is the best thing ever."
See, I'm meeting up with Sean in a couple of weeks, and part of me scared of what he's going to turn up with.
Yeah, well, he was supposed to be giving me one thing. I got 3. So yeah,
I was supposed to be buying an Xbox off him, and he wouldn't take any money for it. So
yeah, we've all had that problem. I'm gonna get him back. I've got a way and an idea to get him back, and that's all I'm saying. So if you're listening to this, Sean, I hope that's in the back of your head teasing you. I've got a way to get you back, mate.
Subliminal messages put in. There we go.
But yeah, sorry, Red Dead 2.
Yeah, I've only played the first one briefly. I mean, it's a very atmospheric game, but I can't really comment on the second one because I've never played it. But
First, it was a great story though. It was a great ending. No spoilers, just in case for some reason someone hasn't played it. I was late to the game, but not this late. But yeah, what a great ending, great beginning, and there was a couple of times where you'd set the waypoint, and there was one mission where I had to travel halfway, all the way across the map. Sorry, and that was just like really, but
Yeah,
all the side missions, little games. I loved the first one. I really did. Second one, no.
They started doing stuff like on Skyrim. I think that was to like drag out the time frame of the game. They started like having quests where you had to walk one end of the map to the other, speak to somebody, and then walk all the way back again. And I fully like expect that was just to drag out the time of the game and I'll make play times longer.
I think you'll find it's pronounced Skyrim.
Oh, get out of it.
And on that running joke, there we go. So I hope that's given people insight into sort of things, and it's not all wine and roses when hobby and gaming hobby or collecting hobby or whatever, because you do find that some things are worth the wait and some things aren't. And if you have come across the same sort of thing, we'd love to hear from you in the comments below. Also, just very quickly before we finish, guys, I know Rob, you've got to shoot off in a second, so we'll just have to wrap this up pretty quickly. Have either of you guys seen that new Netflix documentary, High School?
I watched the first episode, and it was nothing that I didn't know already, but
Yes.
It was entertaining.
Rob?
Oh.
No.
No idea about it either.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay, that's all right.
I'll try and watch it.
Yeah. I agree with Pete. There's nothing I haven't seen already. I watched the rest of them. It's all right. It's all right. I think it's a missed opportunity.
It seemed to lack the kind of
no depth to it.
It was like I can't think of the word where it's like it makes you want to keep watching. Like, did you watch The Toys That Made Us?
I watched a few of those, and then I didn't see the rest of the series.
But it sort of lacks the energy of that, and kind of like the compulsion to keep watching, because it's like as well as being informative, it's also entertaining.
I got through all 6 episodes, but I will say I think it was a bit lightweight. I think the first episode towards the end sort of like glossed over a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
I don't want to spoil it for anybody who hasn't and watched it yet. So make your own minds up, people. Generally speaking, I think it's good, but especially given it's Netflix. But I thought Netflix would have really gone out and try to make something out of it. But
a really good gaming documentary, if you're looking for one, is called The King of Kong, and it's about like the Guinness World Record holders. Like
I've watched that a couple of times.
Seen that. Yeah, that is good.
Really, it used to be on Netflix, but I don't think it is anymore. But that is such a good documentary. Obviously, it's come out since one of them cheated, but
or not cheated, or not cheated, as the case may be. I know. Billy Mitchell.
How could he not be a villain? Just look at him. He looks like a super villain.
Yeah.
But I do intend to finish watching it.
I will say it's good, but I think you may come to the same conclusion as I did, but I won't spoil it for you.
Yeah.
But I think it's come out on Netflix this week, so if anybody has Netflix out there, pop on along and have a look at that. And sure, for those of you who Pete this week may have got a few ideas of possibly how, if you haven't got Netflix, you might be able to watch it.
I'm not that into piracy.
Which is why I haven't seen it. I have Amazon Prime.
But yeah, there is a nice app on the Xbox called Kodi, which you could probably go on and have a tinker with, and I'm not recommending anything.
No.
Find a backup.
Yeah, find back up from somewhere. That'll be it. Yeah. Guys, thanks very much for giving up your time again this week. We do appreciate it, and have an interesting discussion there. And hopefully that, like we said, if people have got their own experiences, drop them in the comments below. It's always nice to hear from you. Once again, just reminding you that as of this episode, rather than be a weekly podcast, we'll be doing one every other week. So the next one, I think, right at the start, was penciled in for the 6th of. So next time we'll be putting an episode up, and hopefully we're doing something a bit different for a bit special, maybe for episode 25 when we get there. Just want to say thanks to the guys again. Rob, thank you very much indeed for giving it the time again today.
Thank you, Mr. Bear. Take care.
Right. And Pete, thank you very much indeed for your time as well, mate.
No, the pleasure was all mine.
Great to have you on, and hopefully we'll have you back again very, very soon. Until then, this is the Retro Bear saying thank you very much and listening. Very much indeed for listening to the tNb Gaming Podcast. Up all the guys here, thank you very much indeed, and we will speak to you again very, very soon. Do take care, and bye for now.